I really appreciate it. This is my first time doing like a guest speaker type of thing, so here we go. Undocumented. It is a word that brings attention to many of us here in America. The fact of the matter is, we are all human. We are all human beings occupying a space. Whether you are a U.S. citizen or a person new to the country, we are human, we are here, we exist. My work at Second Story entails working with youth who are mainly first generation, those who are children of parents who fled to the United States to find better opportunities, escape poverty, escape oppressive governments, warfare, violence, abuse, and in many cases, death. The families that I serve immigrated here with hopes and dreams, hopes that they could settle in a place where they wouldn't have to worry about their child being unsafe, a place where they could feel a sense of community, a place where they could feel a sense of freedom. Freedom to work where they want, eat where they want, shop where they want, live where they want. In all, exist where they want. These families want what's best for their children, to have safe and thriving schools to attend to and play, in neighborhoods where they can run around, play sports, and laugh without having to worry about any repercussions. Unfortunately, many of us know that this is not the reality for many immigrant communities across the country. Too often do we hear about an act of violence, an act of domestic abuse, or news of criminality within these communities. Even schools within these communities suffer with students overdosing, physically fighting, failing their classes, and or having poor grades, lacking resources and opportunities for them to advance and thrive. Well, who cares, some think? Given startling and somewhat biased statistics, many see immigrants staying in the cycle of poverty, the cycle of substance abuse, and the cycle of limited advancement. I personally, however, see another side of the story. My dad, a Vietnamese immigrant, came here with almost nothing with him. When he landed here in the United States in 1981, all he had was a white beater shirt, booty shorts, and 3 cents in his pocket. He walked onto American soil not knowing what lay ahead, where he would sleep, where he would eat, and how he would survive. My dad was a refugee. Escaping communist Vietnam, he was known as what is called the boat people. His mother, my grandmother, wanted him to leave the country to not be killed, to have a thriving life, to live in peace. By the time my dad escaped, the communist Vietnamese government had either killed or kidnapped more than 500,000 people, and almost 2 million Vietnamese people had fled the country, my dad being one of them. My dad escaped and went outside of Vietnam Ocean borders, but even then there was still danger. My dad and my uncle faced pirates on multiple occasions, 11 times to be exact. In one instance, my dad was ordered by them to line up and give what he had to the pirates, no matter how small or valuable his possessions were. He was threatened at gun and knife point to give what he had. When the pirates were done with my dad, he escaped by jumping into the sea. My dad could barely swim and stay afloat. It was by a stroke of luck that another small boat was nearby and picked him up, and my uncle too. According to my uncle, my dad was so traumatized from what happened that he crouched up into a ball for 3 whole days. 3 to 4 days later, my dad and my uncle landed in Thailand, where they only had shorts on their body. And my dad and my uncle were transported to a refugee camp, and it was ran by UNICEF. He then was transported to the Philippine Processing Center. There my dad learned little English and tried to take some classes about American culture. But even then, resources were limited. My dad couldn't learn all the information he needed to know. If the truth be told, my dad told me that he mainly learned English by watching Scooby-Doo, soap operas, and listening to country music. Yes, that's all true. And that's how he was able to pick up on many English words and conversations. When my dad arrived to America, he and my uncle had to find connections within the immigrant community to find housing and food. And while he was sponsored and had some help from a local temple, my dad had to find housing and food on his own. He was only given $130 and for expenses and $70 worth of food stamps. And all this was once per month back in the 1980s. Once per month. Eventually, my dad found housing in an apartment in Langley Park, Maryland. But even then, there were a lot of obstacles he had to face. My dad had to live in a small one-bedroom apartment with 4 other people living in it. My dad had to rely on the local church to access food and other donations. The neighborhood he lived in wasn't the greatest and wasn't the safest. Crime and drugs were abundant, and my dad had to always watch his back and had to face racism in many instances, where people looked at him with dirty looks and would treat him differently just because he was Vietnamese. Despite all these hardships and oppression, my dad was resilient. Eventually, he was able to find under-the-table work at a blueberry farm all the way up in New Jersey during the summer seasons. That's how he made a living. Later, he learned enough English and gained enough work experience to work at 7-Eleven. He started as a sales associate, then later he became a store manager, and then years later, he met my mom at a train, and the rest is history. So, why am I sharing my dad's experience? Because it's the shared experience of many immigrants here in the United States. An experience of resiliency, tenacity, and hope. Second Story brings hope to these communities. Communities that have little hope. Communities that are in need of knowledge and skills necessary to thrive in life. And communities that need safe havens where children and their families can grow and thrive. Whenever I'm with my students in Springfield or Coolmore, I often use my dad's story to inspire youth who are in the same situation as he was in when he first arrived to the United States. Like my dad experienced, my students face poverty, violence, abuse, and witness open drug use in their home and community every day. This is why I am passionate about helping first-generation students learn literacy and social-emotional skills and provide various academic and life skills workshops to help them be educated and ready for the world and society, so they may be safe and have the same opportunities and privileges that others have, and in turn, inspire others to live productive, thriving, and healthy lives. Through Second Story, I strive to be a mentor to those that need guidance, a person someone can talk to, and someone to be inspired by. I hope that in the future, I can continue this work with our youth and the immigrant community through possibly being a high school principal, but really, I just want to be an authentic human being for our youth and the communities I serve. Recently, my dad said, you have to start somewhere. As a newcomer, you have a lot of potential to survive. You earn trust from your employer. You must work hard to move up the ranks. You have to start from zero. Don't wait for handouts. You are in control of your destination. Save your money when you are young. Dad, I want you to know that I love you, and I thank you for everything. And Mom, I love you too. And thanks for marrying a great man.